I'm Kevin O'Hara for Alcohol Mastery, and today I'm going to be talking about another one of the benefits of quitting drinking, which you will be less self-centered. Now, we're all self-centered to a certain degree. It goes with the territory of being a human. How can we not be? We're with ourselves 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 a year. I think a lot of the time is why some people actually start drinking in the first place. It gives themselves a break from themselves, not only the troubles that they're going through. Now, when your drinking becomes a bad habit or an addiction, the self-absorption, the selfishness, the self-indulgence, the narrow-mindedness, they all just get worse. They multiply and compound themselves. Now, alcohol drinking, being what it is a selfish act. You take alcohol into your body, bit by bit. Bit by bit you get drunk, and getting drunk is a bit like receding further and further back into yourself, at least from a mental point of view anyway. You're still taking up physical space. You're still here in the here and now, but where are you actually in your mind? Who have you become? Once you start drinking, once you get all those pints into you, once you get the wine into you or the whiskey or whatever. How many people think that when they're drunk they go through some form of transformation, like sort of a Jekyll and Hyde sort of character? That's exactly how I felt on many occasions. I didn't think it at the time, while I was knocking back the pints, or while I was under the influence, but later on, the next morning, when I woke up during the night, that's when these things, these thoughts started to hit home. That's if I could remember anything about the things that I'd said or done the night before. Now, I love this story, the strange case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And in the story, Dr. Jekyll transforms himself into this dark and nasty character, Mr. Hyde, when he drinks this potion. And Jekyll didn't drink the potion to get rid of the evil parts in his nature. He sort of drank the potion so he could express himself better, so he could express these impulses that were lying deep within him that he didn't want to express in normal life, and he could do so without guilt, without any consequences, without anyone sort of attacking his good name as a doctor. Now, although most drinkers don't go anywhere near the lengths that Mr. Hyde did in the book, we do drink to be able to drop certain illusions, to unmask ourselves a bit, so to speak. And, we do it under the guise of losing our inhibitions. Now, mostly, those inhibitions are constraints that society imposes on us and the ones we impose on ourselves. In some respects, alcohol does a very good job at lowering your inhibitions, there's no doubt about it. But there's a price to be paid for having that kind of a freedom. As we all know, it allows you to drop some of the restraints to be in the way that you want to be. So, if you're shy, you take a drink and you're not shy anymore, or it helps you not to be shy. And sometimes, that's a positive outcome. But more often than not, the outcomes to drinking and to losing your inhibitions are very negative. And the more you drink, the more negative things can become, in the short term and in the long term. The negativity comes about because alcohol is not really a sociable drug. It's normally the where you are, who you're with, those kind of things that promote the sociability. It's people coming together with the idea in their heads that they're going to have a good time. It's people getting together in an atmosphere that's created for, around those needs. But do you need to have alcohol to be able to be in a social setting? Do you need to have alcohol to have a good time? And the answer to both of those is absolutely not. It's a great shame that we're stuck in this lie that, it takes a drug like alcohol or any other drug to be able to be sociable and to be able to have fun. It's a lie that actually prevents us from being the very things that we're craving after, for being the very people that we're trying to get to. Now, part of that lie, part of the propaganda that surrounds alcohol, is it's just good business for businessmen who own the pubs. You know, there's no great profit in a couple of people taking up space, drinking a couple of cups of coffee in a coffee shop. Whereas if you can get the same people to drink 3 or 4 drinks in exactly the same time, paying twice as much money for the privilege, with the added bonus for the businessman that these people might get a bit carried away and stay for a lot more or a lot more. You know, it makes more business sense. If you're a businessman, you're going to make more of a killing in more ways than one owning a pub than a coffee shop. That's why there's many more bars than coffee shops. Another area of drinking that is completely selfish is that there's no benefit in your drinking habit to anyone else but you. The more you drink, the more you have to drink. The more absorbed you become in yourself, in your own world, in your own pastime, and the less you have to spend on other people. Spending your time drinking means that you're actually missing out on being with people, properly with people. You know, how can you really be with someone? How can you really do real, proper socializing when your entire aim of going out is to get wasted, to get locked out of your head? You know, we all have 24 hours in the day, 7 days in the week, and drinking takes time. It takes time to first get the alcohol inside of you. It takes time to go through the whole process of getting high, and it takes time on the other side to come down again. It takes more time for the poisoning to show its face once the numbing effect has worn off. Now, when you go through these 3 phases of drinking, you're generally very self-absorbed. You're generally concentrating on getting drunk, on being drunk, and on overcoming the contamination that you've caused to yourself. Now, this is time that you can't spend with other people, that you can't spend in the life that you really care about. You know, and the more you do that to yourself, the more sort of you compound that effect on yourself. My self-centeredness used to absolutely kill me sometimes. I knew that what I was doing wasn't right, that I was being selfish. But my need for the booze, for the drinking, for the pints, for just having that lifestyle was greater. I remember the mixture of relief and sort of guilt I felt when I used to drink wine with my partner. You know, I used to always watch her glass, and I'd be watching the bottle, and I'd be looking at my glass. And all the time that we were together and drinking, I'd be trying to conjure up ways that I could get more of the wine that was left in the bottle, or all of it. Esther's limit has always stayed around the same. It's, you know, like a couple of glasses, you know, in one session. Half a bottle at most from the time that I've met her. And my usual trick was I'd pour my first glass, and I'd drink the first glass really quickly. Then I'd pour out a second glass, leaving only a little bit left in the bottom of the bottle. Now, what that did was when Esther wanted her usual second glass, I'd tip out the rest of the wine that was in the bottle, and obviously there just wouldn't be enough, so I'd have to go out and crack open a second bottle, which, you know, like always making sure that there was a second bottle there, of course. But what that did was, you know, it made sure that there was always 2 bottles open. And she'd say to me, on most usual occasions, on a normal occasion, that she'd had enough, and she'd leave the rest to me. So my first thought would be, you know, great, it worked again, sort of thing, more for me. But sometimes, on occasion, she'd want more, you know. Maybe she'd just had a hard day at work, or somebody had said something to her, or she just wanted a bit more numbing, that kind of thing. And as soon as she wanted more, Mr. Hyde would pop up in my head, and he'd be like, no. That spoiled my whole plans for having almost a second bottle to myself. So all these thoughts would pop into my head then, that she was just being greedy, that she was just doing it to annoy me. And, they're the thoughts of the real addict. I can't think of a worse word to say, but that's what it was, When you stop drinking, you do want to be with other people. Not for the sake of having an excuse to drink like you do when you're drinking, but to really be with them for the sake of being with them. For me, that was a sort of a revelation. It took me a while to learn the skills that I needed to learn to be able to do that, to be sociable. I just didn't know how to be with other people, not properly, and have fun, and not drink. And I'm still learning those things. It's so much more rewarding being with normal people as well. I tried to go back and be with my old drinking buddies. It just doesn't work. Even with my family, if they're on the lash, it doesn't work. It's boring. I used to feel like I had risen above that place where they were. Once I was drinking with them, I saw how they were drinking, saw how they were talking, and I felt better than that. I felt actually better than them. And then I'd feel guilty about all those thoughts, that I shouldn't be thinking that. I shouldn't be thinking that I'm better than them, and my thinking is better than them. They're just in a different place from me. And it's true, they're not better, I'm not better than them. That's not to say that I go out socializing now and I enjoy everyone's company that I'm with. Nor do I go out and carry myself without a blemish on my unselfish armor. I don't do that either. What it means is that what I do now is I go out, and if I don't like the company I'm in, or if I'm just not in the humor for being out, I just go, I don't stay. In the past, I'd hang around just for the booze, and I'd hang around knowing that in a while I just wouldn't care anyway. I wouldn't care about the company I was keeping or what I said to them, because I'd be getting drunk. So it's a weird thing. I come from a big family where there's a certain amount of selfishness as part of growing up. There was 9 kids in my family. If a box of sweets was opened in my house, you'd better get in there really quick, or they'd be gone faster than a wig in a hurricane. The difference is that I think about my selfishness more now, whereas before I didn't think like that. If I want to make the most out of my time, I want to make the most out of my family, I want to make the most out of my time on my own, whether I'm having fun or working. And the words I need are still a part of my vocabulary. It's just that now, when I say I need, it's followed more than I need a drink, I need a pint or whatever, There are plenty of ways of getting a break from being you. There are plenty of other ways of getting away from yourself for a while without necessarily killing your body at the same time. And when you're not poisoning your mind, when you're not poisoning your body anymore, when you start to do the things in your life that you always wanted to do, that you dreamed about doing, when your self-esteem starts to grow and grow, you start to like who you are. You don't need that time out from yourself anymore. You want to be with yourself. And there are far better ways of loosening up your inhibitions without losing control. And there are far better ways of loosening your inhibitions in a 100% positive way. No risk of negative behaviors at all. So thank you very much for watching the video again. I want to leave you with something that I heard a long time ago. from, I don't know if you remember, a guy called Richard Pryor. He was a comedian that died a few years ago. And he was talking in an interview about his life and about his fame and how it changed his life. And he said, "Sure, I have plenty of friends. I have, they all come around and they're all wanting to borrow money. And I've always been generous with my friends and with my family as far as money's concerned, but I've always been selfish with the important stuff in life, like love." And, you know, I know Richard Pryor in this sort of a context is not the best role model, you know, it's not the best person to look up into in terms of, you know, he's had a lot of addictions in his life and he's gone through a lot, come out of the other end as well. But the sentiment in what he's talking about rings true to me, it holds a lot of truth for me. So, you know, when I was using alcohol, I was very poor at allocating my affection and my love. I was giving it out in all the wrong places and to all the wrong people. And, you know, when you don't poison your mind anymore, when you stop drinking, you start to see things a lot more clearly. You start to see where your love and your affection and your gratitude should all be given out. And, you know, it's just never beat yourself up about being selfish, because, you know, sometimes you have to be selfish in life. You know, selfishness is required. So if you found anything of value in this video, could you please take the time to subscribe, share, or just hit the like button down below. It'll take you a couple of seconds, and it does mean a lot to making this content, this video and the other videos, more widely available to other people who, like you, are also looking for answers. If you have any questions at all, you can go over to the website as normal, leave a comment. You can leave a comment down below on YouTube through the Alcohol Mastery Facebook page, or you can just send me an email at kevin@alcoholmastery.com. You can also find me at alcoholbooks.com. So until next time, thank you very much for watching. I'm Kevin O'Hara for Alcohol Mastery. Onwards and upwards.